This is Exploring Chiropractic, Episode 3. We're going to talk about New Zealand Chiropractic College with Brian Lanoue, who is a student down there. And before we get started, just want to say thanks to all those who have been watching the show so far. Last week's episode with Angel Ochoa from Life West got already 100 views, so I'm pretty excited about that. We are available also on iTunes as a audio download, so if you're out driving in the car and want to take a listen to it, just search for Exploring Chiropractic on iTunes, and you can download it there. And please subscribe. It helps our ratings and helps get the word out to other people. Keep checking the website, exploringchiropractic.com. Got some more stuff going up there. And we're all over the place as well, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. So our Facebook group's kind of been growing pretty nicely. We've got, I think, 70 people that have joined it just in the last week. So I think I contribute that a little bit to Spinal Column Radio as well as last week's episode with Angel. So let's get into this week's show. I want to introduce Brian Lanoue, who is a student down in New Zealand. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Nathan?
Good. It's kind of a pain getting people on here, but I like the Google Hangout format. Hopefully once the word gets out a little bit more, we'll get more people joining in at the same time. But it looks like tonight it's just you and me.
All right, that's awesome. Let's rock and roll, bud.
So you're a student at New Zealand College of Chiropractic. You are also the global correspondent for Spinal Column Radio, is that right?
I'm the NZ correspondent, so I've done interviews.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've done interviews down here in New Zealand and also in Australia as well.
Awesome. And you're running a philosophy club?
Yeah, that was one thing that I kind of championed when I came to the New Zealand College. There's one thing that wasn't happening at the moment, and it all kind of started when I went to, I used to go to EPOC groups before coming to college, and that was really how I got introduced to chiropractic. My chiropractor at the time was running these EPOC groups in Vancouver, and it was a really great opportunity for me to see some of the great speakers before, I even started school. So I came to college with already a great philosophical understanding of, what we do in chiropractic.
That's kind of surprising it wasn't going on before. I want to ask you more about that.
Yep.
But before we kind of get into the questions,
sure.
There's a bit of an elephant in the room. Not quite a pink elephant. It's a tiny little elephant. But you're in New Zealand, but you kind of sound like North American. You're Canadian, right?
Yes, I came from Canada.
So what are you doing down under?
Well, that goes back to that EPOC group. When me and my partner, we both came down here at the same time, and so when we were asking different chiropractors, we'd go to these EPOC groups, which stands for the Epicenter of Chiropractic, which happen all over the States and Canada. But we'd go to these groups, and there'd be 80 chiropractors there, and we just went around the room asking people, if you had to do it again, where would you go? If you had to do it again, where would you go? We didn't have a podcast like the one you were doing right now. So, it's just one after the other, asking, who would you get? Where would you go? Where would you go? And through that process, most people said New Zealand, and so we said, all right, pack our bags, let's go.
Wow, that's kind of a big jump.
Yeah.
Had you visited before? Had you traveled down there at all?
No, completely naive. We had moved to Vancouver from Ontario, so we moved across Canada, and we had done that for about 2 years, and so we kind of got used to the idea of being apart from family at that point. And obviously we had gone to university and everything, so we were in our mid-20s by the time we made this decision. And then it's just like, all right, might as well just keep heading west and go all the way down.
So where did you go to your undergraduate?
The University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario.
Okay.
So near Toronto.
And did you go ahead and get an undergraduate degree, or just fulfill the prerequisites?
No, I had no idea about chiropractic until I finished my degree. So my partner Taya, she was working at an office as a CA for 3 or 4 years in college. So she really introduced me to the idea, and we started dating right at the end of uni. So I started seeing the chiropractor there, and then we decided that we were going to move out to Vancouver together. So I just got under care, and then we moved out to Vancouver, continued under care, and then that's when our chiropractor there, who was really tapped into the environment, introduced us to really chiropractic as an option, and going to New Zealand as well.
Okay. Now, so Taya, she was a CA before. Is she going to the school with you?
Yeah, so we're in the same class. We're in school every day together. Obviously, we still live together with our roommate as well. So we see a lot of each other, but it's good.
Is it working out pretty well? I think there's maybe one or two couples at my school that do that are in the same
Yeah,
class. There's definitely a lot of couples at the school, that are in different,
yeah, yeah.
different phases of their education. But there's a couple in the same quarter. Is it working out okay?
Yeah, no, we're going strong. We keep each other motivated and accountable as well. So we've run a business here together now in New Zealand. We have the website going. So I mean, yeah, we're onto it.
So what business is that, and what's the website?
So yeah, we started a little business instead of and we decided instead of working part time. Again, another naive decision, but we started making these produce bags, and kind of a similar products exist in North America, and they didn't exist in New Zealand at the time. So we went ahead and started a business, and we've kind of been doing that. Right now, we're actually trying to get rid of it because we're having some troubles with immigration and visa issues.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. So yeah, we're just getting that all sorted, and then our website, which is really came to fruition through listening to Spinal Column Radio. When Tom always talks about branding yourself as a chiropractor, and that's what we wanted to start doing. So we made a website called Our Extraordinary Lives, and you can get there just at www.ourextraordinarylives.com. And Taya posts some awesome recipes up there. I post chiropractic articles, some essays I've written, and we're just trying to keep the momentum going. We have like 6,000 views or something. People from like 50 different countries have been tapped into it. So I mean, it's cool to see what happens when you just kind of put yourself out there.
That is pretty cool. I'm gonna pull up my browser here and share that with people that are watching the YouTube video. So you should be able to see this right now.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's a blog.
Yeah, blog format. Obviously, you can search the different subjects, whether your main thing is the food, or whether it's the chiropractic, or a combination of both. We kind of just post things that we're interested in. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's chiropractic, living a healthy lifestyle, a full rounded approach to kind of health and life.
So you mentioned before the show you said you were training. Were you at the gym?
Yeah, so that's again part of our healthy lifestyle. So we do CrossFit, and one of the things that Eric Russell did before he left the New Zealand Chiropractic College was to get us a nice new gym facility. So we moved it downstairs to a spare room we had. He got us a whole bunch of CrossFit equipment, some new bars, bumper plates, some gymnastics, rings, and all the posts set up for pull-ups and whatnot. So we have a lot of fun down there now.
And that's on the campus?
That's on campus, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, we're hoping. We just had a few discussions at Western States about our new facility, but it's probably not going to be built by the time I graduate, unfortunately. But that's great.
Yeah.
I love that you're living and practicing kind of what you preach. I wanted to mention to you. So I'm trying to do the same thing as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm training for my first marathon.
Nice.
And earlier today I did my longest run yet, which was a 20-miler up in the canyons and mountains of Columbia River Gorge.
That'd be beautiful.
So if I'm fidgety or grimacing at all, it's not you. It's because I started at 6:30 in the morning, and it was about a 3,000-foot climb for the first 6 miles, and it took me forever. I was out for almost 6 hours total. Much slower than I'd like to be going, but yeah. So anyway, just so you guys are aware, I'm super slow, but it's going to be really exciting. But anyway, back to the website though. So this is a blog. You said you have 6,000 people. How did you do that? Because I have 3 blogs now, and I'm sure it's just me and my mom that read it. How'd you get the word out?
We just started posting stuff, really. I don't know, like we posted obviously through our Facebook networks and everything, and it says at the bottom like we have like 600 something followers, and I don't really know how WordPress calculates that, but people seem to read it, people comment, people like stuff. I mean, so we do have interactions. If you go to the stats and stuff, it tells you all the people in different countries, and I don't even know if that's my friends who are traveling, or if people are legitimately just stumbling through it. I know some of the other like recipe websites though, they'll link through to some of our recipes every now and then too. So it's really just been a grassroots word of mouth sort of thing.
That is really cool. Yeah, I'd assume that, is this on WordPress.com or is it self-hosted?
Yeah, no, it was a WordPress account. It used to say WordPress, and then Dr. Lamar called me out on an episode of Spinal Column Radio, and we had to upgrade to the more professional name.
Meaning getting rid of the WordPress in the middle of
the
URL. Yeah, I think there's incredible value with having that unique URL. And I was just reading a book. It was mentioned on Spinal Column Radio by Lanoue Cook, Dr. Lanoue Cook, who wrote a book about how she paid off her loans in 2 years.
Yeah.
And in the book, she says the website's an important thing. So we'll be mentioning some more things about that, and I'm hoping to review that book sometime soon. I think I've got like 30 pages left.
Sweet.
So that's pretty cool. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit of what people probably want to know more about than all this geeky stuff. I love it, but New Zealand College of Chiropractic. Let me just pull up their webpage, and so what do you see on a given day when you go to school? What's kind of the first thing that you see when you get there?
Yeah, man, it's a cool vibe. I mean, you walk up to the campus, and obviously you're out in the middle of. You're in New Zealand. You're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, when you see New Zealand on a map by itself, it's like the only thing there. All you see is blue ocean around you. You can just barely clip Australia, but I mean, we're still even 2,000 and something kilometers from Sydney, which is like the closest coast to Australia to us. So it's pretty far out when you think of like how far we are, especially when you're not from here. So you come on the campus, and it's just. Everyone loves chiropractic, and it is really people talk the tick, and it's really cool because we have people from all over the world. We have a few people from the States, people from Canada, people from South Africa, and then obviously people from Australia and New Zealand, and we form a pretty unique culture here.
That's pretty cool. So for those watching, I'm pulling up exploringchiropractic.com, the schools page, where I've got maps of all the schools throughout the world. I thought that'd be kind of cool to see where they all fit. And I'm pulling up New Zealand here, so it's right in Auckland. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can because I'd really like you to tell just a little bit about the area. What some of the great things to see in the city.
Yeah.
Do you like living there?
Yeah, no, Auckland's pretty sweet. I was living in Vancouver before, and Auckland and Vancouver the last couple of years tied for 4th of the best cities to live in, especially for like young people. And so it's really cool. Obviously, we're right on the water there. You can be at a beach in anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour in almost any direction. It's winter right now, but it's still like 15 to 20 degrees outside when it's sunny. It's a rad place to be.
Any favorite things as a couple to get out and do?
Yeah, we've been Jay and I have been going out for a couple staycations recently. So I mean, there's a bunch of volcanoes in Auckland. You might not know, but the whole kind of cityscape is formed by these volcanoes. So you can either go up and hike around the volcanoes. They're all dormant thousands of years. Obviously, the whole city's built around them. As you can see, Rangitoto Island there, Wahiki Island. There's some great wine tours. You can go for a hike, or as they call it here, go for a tramp.
Go for a tramp. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the bush? Do they say in the bush like in Australia?
Yeah.
Or the outback?
There's no outback here. There's not enough space. But you can go tramping in the bush, and it's really cool when you do because all the the tree life is like ferns and stuff, and so it really looks like Jurassic Park, and you think there's going to be, a raptor that's going to pop out around the corner or something.
Nice, very cool. Um, I've been dying to get down to Australia and New Zealand, and I'll just mention real quick kind of the inspiration. Well, one of the reasons I want to go to New Zealand, and one of the reasons that I'm doing this Google Hangout thing is there's a photographer in New Zealand. Probably not heard of him, but his name is Trey Ratcliffe.
Okay.
And let's see if I can pull him up on Flickr. So he's got a website, stuckincustoms.com, and he's just an incredible photographer. He uses a unique technique and posts full versions of his pictures for free for anybody to use.
Nice.
And but he just moved down to New Zealand, and I'm trying to remember what city he's in. I'm not quite sure, but so here's some of his photos. But he picked it because it's just such a beautiful place. His business is all online.
Yeah.
And so, but he does these Google Hangouts with other photographers around the world, at least weekly. And I mean, he's making like $1 million doing it. So here's a beautiful picture of New Zealand.
Yeah, that's Queenstown. So that's down on the South Island. That's a beautiful place to visit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where he's living. Just
Yeah.
gorgeous. And of course, everyone knows that the Lord of the Rings trilogies were filmed down there.
Yeah.
You've been able to visit any of those sites?
Tourists on that. Yeah, we've actually been to Hobbiton. So
Nice.
it's about an hour and a bit drive from the city, and you go on the rolling hills. Once you leave the city, it's all just rolling green hills on the North Island, and yeah, like those ones down there. And
Yeah, so I'm pulling up some. For those listening, pulling up some images on Flickr. I just searched for Hobbit Town. I don't know if it's 2 T's or not, but yeah, just gorgeous rolling hills. I love it.
Yeah, so the whole North Island, once you're out of the city, just pretty much looks like that. And they had everything set up when we went for filming, so it was all all the hobbit holes were beautiful, and they've now since built a bar there and everything, so you can actually go for a hobbit brew and spend more of the day there if you want.
Oh, that is really cool. That's awesome. So, what's the curriculum like? Can you give an overview of kind of the flow from one term to? Are you on quarters, semesters?
We're on semesters, so it's a 4-year program here. One really interesting thing coming from North America is that they kind of run off the British system here, so you only have to do 1 prereq year before you start chiropractic. So the whole program, same in Australia, the whole program's a 5-year program, and so at NZCC you do 4 out of your 5 years, obviously at the NZCC, and then you can do your prereqs wherever. But obviously to practice in Canada or practice in the States, you have to have at least 3 years of an undergraduate education, beforehand. So that's what some of the people don't really realize. Australians and New Zealanders who want to maybe go to practice in the States or go practice in Canada, and they don't get that they don't get that previous education, and then they can still apply for to go practice, but it's really on a case-by-case basis.
That is really good to know, because the reason I didn't go down to Australia or New Zealand for school is because I saw that they're 5-year programs, and I thought, no way. I mean, I'm getting started late enough as it is, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. So dang it, I could have gone and spent
that was
just
just the
as much
prereq
time.
year.
Wow. That's a bummer. And so what's the flow of the chiropractic curriculum? When do you start palpation? What are the basic sciences like?
Yeah, the first day I was in college, we had Bruce Lipton teaching us immunology. So if you haven't heard of Bruce Lipton, check him out. The things he's come up with in the last 40 years are rad. All about he's pretty much created the field of epigenetics. Being able to control your whole environment through your perception. So he really you learn a bit of immunology, but then you learn all this other amazing stuff with him. And then we went straight from immunology to technique, where we were palpating on day 1. So yeah, your first technique course is all about learning how to analyze for a subluxation. That's all you do is you're palpating, you're motion palpating, checking for heat, all the different signs you would look define subluxation, you learn that first technique. You go from there, and then semester 2 you start diversified. And at NZCC we do 5 techniques. So we actually do diversified. Then the next semester you'll do upper cervical, Gonstead, extremities, and you learn the generic NZCC subluxation package, but you also learn all the different packages that go with each technique. So for Gonstead, you learn Gonstead analysis. You're using the nervoscope. You're drawing up lines on X-rays. For Thompson, you go through the whole Thompson protocol. For activator, you go through the activator protocol. You're not just using, like activator as force application. You're going through checking, analyzing the way someone who practices every day, with these techniques would do it. And then obviously right now I'm in my halfway through my 3rd year, because the semesters here start in January and then go through till December. So we're in technically one of our last technique classes, and we're doing peds. So we're actually we go through how to adjust babies. We have to do a physical exam on somebody that's 4 years or younger, and then in 4th year we can see kids in the chiropractic center.
Wow, so that's in the curriculum. That's pretty interesting. At least at my school, and I think a lot of the other schools, you can get it with a club or with seminars.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So that's all built in. So 5 techniques, peds. Then we do advanced technique again in 4th year to go back over, stuff you didn't learn the first time through.
That's awesome. Do they focus much on basic sciences like biochemistry? And I mean, you mentioned immunology in the first semester, which is crazy. What other basic sciences?
Yeah, that's the part that you're probably, coming from North America or wanting to go back to North America, that you'd probably have to do a little bit more catch up on. We're just starting to we're going to be writing the Canadian boards in February of next year, so we're just starting to study for that now, and it's you look at some of those questions and it's pretty far out, because it's going back to the stuff I learned in undergraduate 6-8 years ago. But I mean, as far as at the college, you do your biochem, your physiology, things like that. That's expected in your prereq. So by the time you get to the college here, it's more focused on the immunology, anatomy. We do 3 anatomy courses. We do 4 pathology courses, 4 neuro courses, and that starts from neurology 101, what is a neuron, to the tracks. And then into neurological conditions. I'm
in neuroanatomy right now, talking about all the medial lemniscus and spinal thalamic tract and all that stuff. That's crazy to keep straight.
Yeah, it gets more fun when you start actually looking at the conditions, as much as past the bummer and all that stuff. But it's really cool when you can, see the presentation of someone and be like, oh yeah, this and this and this is going on in the medial lemniscal tract or the lateral, whatever.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you're coming back to Canada, studying for the boards. There's some stuff that you're not getting down in New Zealand. How difficult is that going to be, making that transition back?
I don't think it'll be that bad. It's just in CMCC, which is the school in Toronto. They're real heavy on their science. So I mean, and that's who writes the boards in Canada. It's the professors there. So in their first year, it is science heavy. They do biochem. They do I think a full year immunology course, things like that. So I mean, it's really up to you to kind of do a little bit of extra study on your own, and just kind of fill in the gaps where you need it.
Now, as a Canadian going down to New Zealand, I understand that that's not terribly difficult because you're within the Commonwealth. Are there many U.S. citizens that are students at NZCC, and do you know at all what that process is like?
Yeah, there's at least a couple. Tatum, she's a chiropractic kid. She's kind of out there, wild child. But yeah, she's come from the States, and she wants to practice back in the States. So she's come down. And there's another girl in first year who just started with us. So for them, it's Again, it's up to them if they want to be practicing in the States to do that 3 years education before they come to the college, and then writing boards. But a lot more New Zealanders and Australians write the U.S. boards as well, just because they like to keep their options open. So people will be writing Canadian boards, U.S. boards, British boards, which might be abolished soon, and then all the other ones to kind of they'd like to just kind of keep their options open. And usually U.S. boards are a bit less scary than the Canadian boards. And one girl that just did them, she just absolutely smashed it. So it's definitely, we definitely get prepared for, for those tests down here for sure.
That's good. Good to hear. So you've been on Spinal Column Radio as
Yes.
the New Zealand correspondent, and I've listened to a few of your interviews with the new president of NZCC. So Eric Russell was there for not too long, right? Maybe a year or two?
2 years and a bit, yeah.
Okay. And now I've forgotten the name of the new president.
Dr. Phil McMaster, who's been the philosophy teacher at NZCC since the school started. He really helped get NZCC off the ground and was part of that brain trust that started the school, and saw the first couple classes through when they weren't registered and they weren't things they had to sort all that stuff out as they kind of went along.
Has there been any focus shift since Eric Russell left, or have they continued on with the same goals?
Yeah, so the board of the college is real strong, and they're focused, and it's really the president's role to come in and see the vision through of the board. So it's really the board that drives everything, and it's really the president's role to be the day-to-day person that's putting through that vision. So Phil was the chairman of the board before, and then obviously he resigned his position to run for the president's position. So he was the chairman of the board for 10 years. He's been with the college since its inception. So I mean, he's very much the right person for the job, and really wants to see that. He really wants to see the chiropractic vision, subluxation focus vision of the NZCC continue, because obviously we've had CCEA, which is the Australasian branch of the CCE. So they're the ones who do the curriculum reviews and everything for us now. So they want us to include some things that to make us so we can practice in the States and Canada and do some of the physiotherapy stuff and offer this sort of thing. So it's really just finding out how to integrate all that and keep it very subluxation focused as well.
Yeah, I kind of brought that up because I watched a bunch of videos from NZCC on YouTube that were produced when Eric Russell first took position there.
Yeah.
And in all those videos, he was mentioning evidence-based, evidence-based, evidence-based. But now, when I listen to interviews with President, is it McMaster?
Yeah.
I want to get that right. Yeah, President McMaster. It's philosophy, philosophy, philosophy. So I was just curious whether much had changed, or whether it was just different words that they're using.
I think it's just different words. I mean, the focus is the same. The research department at NZCC is freaking phenomenal, man.
I've heard really great things about it.
Understanding, they're doing research, understanding chiropractic from a chiropractic perspective, and they're doing a lot of basic science. So, like, how is the nervous system interfered with? We have this great philosophy that says, nervous system interference happens, when the bone's out of place and putting pressure on the nerves and whatever. But we're like, how does that happen? And that's where a lot of the criticism has come over the last 100 years, is just not being able to say, how does that happen? And we often go back to, okay, it takes a dime of pressure to cut off 70% of the flow of nerve impulses. But obviously we don't know if they're good or bad or this or that, or where they're going, where they're coming from. So they're just doing basic science research that shows when you're subluxated, one of the big papers is subluxation and proprioception. So you don't know where your body is in space when you're subluxated as well as when you're not subluxated. And that's been groundbreaking just to show that for the first time. And obviously with proprioception is huge in anyone's life, whether you're old and wanting to walk upstairs, or whether you're athletic and want to enhance your sports performance. It's just like the foundation groundwork for being human.
I certainly could have used a little better proprioception after mile 10 of my run today. It was, my legs are just lagging.
No, yeah, I bet, man.
So definitely more of a philosophy focus at NZCC, and you participate in you run the philosophy club there. Yeah,
and like I said, I would have expected there to be something like that when I came here, and there wasn't. And after meeting with some third and fourth years at the time when I was in first year, there's people who were definitely interested in it, but it's just never gotten off the ground. And I mean, there's other clubs and things, not as many as kind of at the American schools, because I think we do have, we're already covering 5 techniques. We're, a lot of what people have clubs for is covered in our curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's Diversified Club every week, Gonstead Club, and that's all with the people who teach it. So, I mean, it's an extra hour a week to get in there and practice. There's Upper Cervical Club. There's been a research club where one of the researchers, Kelly Holt, will send a paper out on Monday, and then you'll go through it on Friday. And so I just saw that the philosophy part was missing, and coming from that, having that EPOC experience where we had every month, a chiropractor coming through town and getting to, hear, the philosophy and, and hear those stories that, of why we wanted to do chiropractic from the start, because you do get bogged down by school, and it gets to week like 9, 10 out of 16, and you're like, oh man, what am I doing here again? And in those times, you got to go back to your podcast, go back to your philosophy textbooks, get out there and talk to people in the field, even go observe at people's practices, and you see, people checking people, lives being turned on, kids in there running. Like for me, I want a big family practice, and kids running around, and that organized kind of chaos. And so it's getting back into that environment and getting back into that mindset that gets you through, when times get tough.
That's pretty cool. Now, you mentioned you're going online for some of these. You're going to use Google Hangouts later this week for the first time in that club. You're bringing people in from other countries, or what's the online component?
Yeah, so there's people from Australia through those EPOC networks, through some other chiropractic networks I have, and then, like I said, my Tatum helps me out as well, and she's real connected with like New Beginnings and in the States, and so we've built quite a network of people who Skype in with us. So we've had Liam Schubel on a few times. People from Canada, like I said, people from Australia, and then we'll get locals in. And so we just had Sarah Farron, who's been on Spinal Column Radio a few times. She's a local here in NZ. We've had Martha Nessler recently moved to New Zealand, so we've had her Skype in, and she's going to be coming in person soon. So it's just kind of mixing it up between using the resources we have here, having some of those philosophy nights where we literally just sit there and have a discussion, or having the Skype come in and sitting there and listening to people tell about their practice for an hour or 2 or 3 or 4. Do
you have just a small group around a computer, or do you project it big? How does that? What's the logistics of that?
Yeah, so I just fill out the thing so we rent out one of the lecture theaters, and I put the computer at the front, project it on the big screen. We kind of all sit in the first couple rows of the classroom, and it's mostly lecture style because the connection usually isn't that great. There's literally, I think they're doing some upgrade work to the internet here in New Zealand, but there's literally one internet cord that comes into the country. So I think where you have something like 600 or something coming into New York, there's one internet cable coming into the whole country. So that can present some problems sometimes, especially when Skyping with people overseas, but it usually turns out pretty well.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty happy with how it's working tonight. So that's really cool. Well, I've got a few more questions, but I'm going to take a quick little break here, ask for some help from our listeners. So I started exploring chiropractic just, gosh, not even 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a labor of love, but it's not. I'm sure, as you know, you're setting up your WordPress site. You know, you try to get as many people joining as you can and get that community engagement. But so, you know, I put in some money of my own, and I'm not trying to make money off this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if people like what I'm offering here, and if they want to contribute, I wanted to find a way that, you know, I don't want people to pay me. I want to make it possible for me to continue doing this kind of stuff. So I'm not going to ask for money. I'm not going to sell stuff. But a simple way is, if you're going to buy stuff already, you know, you can do it using these affiliate links. So I've done some affiliate things, and the one I'm going to talk about tonight is Squarespace. So Squarespace is a really quick and easy way to create your own website or blog. So there's WordPress out there, which is free. And I've had many WordPress sites over the years. There's some effort you have to put into it. Squarespace kind of takes away all of that difficulty and the back-end coding and plugins that you got to add. And it's just beautiful. So Exploring Chiropractic, I created on Squarespace within just a couple of hours. You know, got the domain name and everything. And, you know, in the book I mentioned by Dr. Lanoue Cook, you know, she said the website is really important. So if you're going to start a website for your practice, this would be a great way to do it. You can host the podcast. There's a commerce thing that you can do now. And so you can sell things. You can sell virtual books. You can sell actual products. So Squarespace, really awesome way to make a website. If you want to start a free trial for 2 weeks, no credit card needed, just check it out. Go to exploringchiropractic.com/Squarespace, and sponsors there on our website. I've got a link just called sponsors. And so if you're buying stuff on Amazon, you can do that kind of stuff too. So that's it. Okay. I hate doing that kind of stuff, but I am a broke college student. So if you like what I'm doing, you know, I'm having fun, so I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. But that's something. So speaking of internet stuff, though, as I've mentioned a couple times already, Spinal Column Radio, which is Dr. Thomas Lamar's long-running podcast, and I'm bummed that he just announced that he's going to kind of cut the cord on that. How do you feel about that being his New Zealand branch?
I mean, yeah, it's been a great way for me to kind of connect the people I know in North America with the people I'm meeting down here. And I mean, there's amazing chiropractors, amazing doctors in both places. So it's been a good kind of outlet for that. But I mean, there'll be something. You know, we got you podcasting now. So I mean, we'll see where this goes. And then, you know, I'm sure he'll be back. I'm sure he'll be, you know, take the break, do what he needs to do, you know, in his own life. And then, you know, but he has that bug in him where, you know, I don't think he'll stay dormant for long.
Yeah, and his stuff is going to keep going for the remainder of the year. You know, he's got kind of stuff in the feed. You know, are we wasting our time online? Do you think? You know, I'm just geeking out here, but is there value for chiropractic getting online and doing things like podcasts?
I think for sure. When I first started school, again, before I had started the philosophy club, you know, I really just wanted something that, you know, I could use to study chiropractic. And that's where I found Spinal Column Radio. Is that I just typed in chiropractic in the iTunes store to look for podcasts, and that was like one of two. I think Deed Harrison's one was the other one. Another one, really good resource I go to is Life by Design, and between, you know, Spinal Column Radio and Life by Design, and you just get fed the tick like crazy. And it's again, it's one, learning what we do, and the second part is just helping you stay grounded, helping you get through what we're doing, because it is a long process. And you know, there'll be those days you wake up and you're like, man, why am I doing this? Why am I here? You know, those weeks where you have 9 tests in a row or something, so it's those times that stuff really helps get you through.
Do you have any other, other than those, you mentioned a few podcasts, but other online resources that you find really handy for the chiropractic student?
What do I look at? I would say online resources. At NZCC, one of the other amazing features is the library. We have almost every edition of the Green Book. We have the Strauss Blue Books. We have chiropractic technique books from that, like the 50s, like the original. What's the guy who created diversified technique? I forget his name, but
yeah, I can't remember it either.
Yeah, we have his book from the 50s, which is just crazy. And so it's just being able to go through our library and go through all that stuff is what I've been working on, because there's just so much there, you wouldn't be able to go through it in a lifetime.
And you mentioned this phrase, talk the tick, and I've heard it so much, and I think I have a good understanding, but I've asked around, and a lot of people have no idea, or they don't recognize when people say chiropractic or chiropractor. What does it mean to talk the tick, and what's the deal with the tick at the end?
Well, do they have the talk the tick competition at your school there?
They don't, not that I've heard of, at least. I know they have it down at Life West. I'm pretty sure they have it at Sherman. But no, we don't hear much about it, and I've even asked some of our professors, have you ever heard chiropractic versus chiropractic? And, again, not many people hear about it other than those that have been immersed in it already. So just, for the sake of sharing what it is, kind of give a background on it.
Yeah, talking the tick is just basically what you do in practice every day. It's how you educate the people coming into chiropractic. Most people come to see a chiropractor because, I hate to spread this, spread the stereotype even more, but most people come because there's something going on. There's some sort of pain, because we're raised in that allopathic model where very few people go to something to prevent other things, or just go because it's good for you. I mean, that's why I go to a chiropractor, is because it's good for me. It's a good life decision, like going to the gym, like eating a healthy diet, driving my thoughts with my purpose. Those are all healthy options, and chiropractic is part of that. So that's how I envision building my practice and educating my people. And so that's talking the tick. People come in and we're like, why am I coming in? And you're like, we're adjusting subluxation to turn on the nervous system, to turn on your life potential. That's what we're doing, And so when you're talking the tick, you're educating, and you're educating them on the philosophy and why we do what we do. And that's basically where it comes from.
So Talk the Tick is a competition at a lot of schools where students get up, take 5 minutes, I don't know if there's a time limit, and do just what you did, where they'll kind of put on a little show where they're as if they're talking to their patient, explaining chiropractic, and then are they judged, or is it just popular vote?
Yeah, no, they're judged. The one down here, obviously the ones from New Zealand will go over to Australia. We'll go to a bigger competition. The ones in the States all kind of congregate in a new place every year. And yeah, they're definitely judged, and I think sometimes they even get some celebrity judges to come on, because there's always a couple chiropractors and then a layperson. So you get a rounded perspective of what they're saying. Sometimes in chiropractic you obviously get to that point where you get all that medical jargon, you get all this stuff, even too many technical terms. And I think I was just at a seminar on the weekend. They said if you use more than 3 big words to somebody in one interaction, they'll tune you out after that. So if you use subluxation, adjustment, and one more nervous system, that's 3. Anything more than that, they'll tune you out.
So it's kind of about using more familiar words to talk with patients and help them understand it in that way.
Yeah, Reggie Gold said, "Keep it simple, stupid."
Yeah. But what's the difference between chiropractic and chiropractic? Is it a focus on philosophy?
It is, because if you don't have that focus on philosophy, there's no focus. It's adjusting the spine to enhance the function of the nervous system is what we do, and we do that through correcting subluxation. And then if you're not doing that, you're not, in my opinion, you're not doing chiropractic.
But can you be doing chiropractic?
You can be doing, it goes back to if you're doing manipulation or you're doing adjustment. Manipulation is moving stuff. Adjustment is correcting the subluxation, the primary, that'll have an effect on the whole body.
Okay, that's an interesting differentiation in the definition. I don't think everyone would separate them that way. So that's kind of interesting.
I have an essay on it on my website if you want to geek out later and check it out.
Oh, do you, on your blog?
Yeah.
On that. Okay. Well, we will send people there. So I got to ask, I'm asking everybody this. NZCC sounds like a really great school. Lots of good things going down. What, if you could change one thing, though, what do you think you would change?
Probably the actual physical location of the school. It's a bit out of the city, so it's it's still close. I mean, you kind of lose your perspective, like, because of how big North America is. It's not out of the question to drive half an hour or an hour to get somewhere one way, or 2 or 3. People in Auckland, if you have to drive for 10 minutes, it's too far. So, the school's only about 5 or 10 kilometers outside of the city, but I think it'd be a better experience for me. I'm more of a city person. I like to be in the hustle and the bustle, to be actually out there.
All right, yeah, that doesn't sound too far. I'd run that every day.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, Brian Lanoue, thank you so much. This has been really cool, talking about New Zealand College of Chiropractic. Where can people find you online if they want to find out more, and what websites do you want to plug?
Yeah, definitely. Check out Spinal Column Radio. Check out ourextraordinarylives.com. Life by Design podcast if you want to know more. Just if you want to get chiropractic in your head. Spinal Column Radio, Life by Design, Our Extraordinary Lives. Find me on Facebook if you want to get a hold of me, or comment on the blog, because that would be awesome. And again, thanks, Nate, for this interview. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks again for joining. Don't go away. We'll chat afterwards, but just want to say thanks to everyone watching. And if you're listening to the podcast, thanks a lot. You can find Exploring Chiropractic on Facebook, on Google+, on Twitter. And please join the community if you want to participate and ask your own questions. I'd love to get feedback from others. And just a quick note, because since I've started this, I got lots of Facebook friend invites, and I really appreciate it. I do try to keep Facebook to friends and family that I actually know, but you can find me on so many other places. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Google, I'm on Twitter, just Nathan Cashin, pretty much on all of those. So I do want to connect, I do want to hear from you, but I'm just trying to, keep Facebook to true friends. I've just done that ever since I started. But thanks for your interest, and thanks again for watching tonight. This has been episode 3 of Exploring Chiropractic with Brian Lanoue at New Zealand College of Chiropractic. Check out exploringchiropractic.com for our other shows, and to keep in touch with what's going on in the chiropractic college community. Thanks a lot.